Hey folks, this is Kalani. I hope you're all enjoying patch 8.3 so far, knocking out your assaults and hoping for some awesome corrupted gear, farming dailies and trying to hunt down those pesky 4 rares for each zone, and of course delving deep into some horrific visions and trying to push as far as you can without going completely insane. Let me tell you, being able to play horrific visions with a group is such a breath of fresh air, even though I've been tinkering with this content for the last few months. Trying to get a group on the PTR is impossible sometimes, but now that the patch is live, I can finally have some fun. There is one thing that's really bugging me though, the time gating that's been tacked on to the legendary Cloak progression system. Previously, you could just upgrade your cloak as often as you could get the correct quest items. As long as you could run the vision and get the quest item, you could upgrade it as much as you want. But now we're hard capped on what rank we can get depending on what week we're on. Let's have a look at how the time gating will affect your cloak progression, and why it might actually make things considerably worse. The new time gate works in an incredibly straightforward way. The first week we will have access to 5 vessels of horrific visions in total, 2 are given to us for free in the introduction quest, and then you'll have to work for the other 3. Doing the 3 assaults, every daily quest for the minor vision, and some daily quests and events each day will get you 3 extra vessels very easily. I've managed to run my 3rd extra vision this week and we still have 3,000 coalescing visions to pick up from the minor vision daily, so it's well within reach of everyone. Those 5 vessels can get you a cloak upgrade each, which means that this week you can end with a rank 6 cloak if you don't fail any of the visions, and you get an upgrade from each one. Obviously you need all 5 vessels to begin with as well, so the maximum our cloak can get you right now is rank 6. Next week the quests to upgrade your cloak can be done in a single vision, so with 3 vessels on offer you would expect to be able to get 2 or 3 cloak upgrades next week, right? Well, that's where the time gating steps in and says, no sir, you may only get 1 upgrade next week, and the week after that, and the week after that. With this time gating in place, you can only get to rank 7 next week and rank 8 the week after, and as each week goes by, the maximum rank for your cloak will go up by 1. So effectively, no matter how many visions you do, or vessels you acquire, or coalescing visions you farm, you can only get so far ahead of everyone else. That was apparently the entire point of this time gating, to make it less impactful if you failed a vision. If you don't get to rank 6 this week, don't worry, you can try and catch up next week. Everyone else will only be able to get to rank 7 anyways, so as soon as you hit rank 7 as well, you're all caught up. And it does work, the time gating does do its job in that regard. If you get left behind, you do have a chance to get caught back up. As we reach the point where it takes more and more vision runs to get a single upgrade, anyone who is left behind will be able to catch up fairly quickly, at least until some of the later stages of the cloak grind. This time gating only works for as long as you need less than 3 horrific vision runs to get 1 cloak upgrade. You might think 1 run for 1 upgrade is how this will always be, but you would be wrong. Eventually you need 2 runs for 1 upgrade and then 3 runs, and towards the end we could need 6 or more runs for a single cloak upgrade. That's where the time gating starts to fall apart, and it actually causes more issues than it solves. If you fail your vision and you don't get a cloak upgrade from your run, you will always be that 1 vessel behind. You cannot get another vessel to replace it, and even though you can catch back up in ranks, you will fall behind again when it starts taking multiple runs to get an upgrade. Thankfully, that does happen pretty late into the farm, around rank 13 or 14, and we cap out at rank 15, so it really is towards the end. So you won't be behind for the entire thing, just the end when it starts getting really slow. And honestly, when you get over that rank 6 hump, you shouldn't have to worry about failing your quest anymore. Instead of trying to rush around and do bonus objectives and make it back to the main one for your legendary upgrade, the bonus objectives are where you earn your legendary upgrades, and you'll always be doing those first in any vision you enter. So the threat of getting left behind is diminished quite significantly when you get a rank 6 cloak and move on to the bonus objectives for your legendary cloak quests. Another issue with adding time gating onto the legendary cloak upgrades is that the system itself already had time gating baked into it. When you start needing more than 1 vision per upgrade, that's already stretching things out. Have a look at this chart. Imagine that you weren't locked to just 1 upgrade per week starting next week, and you could upgrade as many times as you wanted. When you hit rank 8, you'll need 2 runs instead of 1 to get an upgrade, 2 runs again to upgrade to rank 10, and then to get rank 11, you actually need 3 full clear runs. It drops drops down to 1 again for a new quest book to get to rank 12, then rank 13 takes 3 runs, and rank 14 takes 6 runs. We don't even know how many runs rank 15 will take right now, but it's going to be more than 6. This is time gating. It's a more interesting type of time gating because at least you're still working towards something instead of being told, nah, that's it for this week. It doesn't matter if you have more vessels, you can't go any further. Sorry about that. Even if you run your extra vessels, there's no chance of getting anything to upgrade your legendary cloak further. If they wanted it to take longer to upgrade the cloak, why not just increase the number of quest items you need for some of the earlier quests? I do understand that part of this new time gating was to discourage players from endlessly farming coalescing visions to try and get an extra vision each week, but honestly, farming an extra 10k coalescing visions from the actual farmable areas of the game would be ridiculous and take way too long. If they want to cap a currency, they should just cap the currency. Don't have it drop from monsters in the minor vision. That's the only place you can really farm extra coalescing visions anyway. Remove that source and you don't have a way to endlessly farm the currency, so that should also fix that problem. I think they did a great job with tweaking the numbers too. 10k from the assault, 5,500 from the other assault, 1k from the important daily, and then everything else after that is small enough so it doesn't really matter that much in the long run. You can do almost everything with just assaults and minor visions, and that is probably the best part of the system right now. But honestly, they aren't even the main problems with the time gating. The main problem is that it encourages you to not play through the horrific visions. When I first saw the time gating implemented, I thought, awesome, that's really going to help people feel like they can be a bit risky here, and hopefully it will help players feel not afraid of jumping into the visions because there's a chance they might fail and be behind forever. But then I started to hear about another way to plan your visions, and I realized that we might have been better off without the time gating at all. I want to have a look at some numbers and tables. Bear with me here because I do think it's important. Without this time gating in place, our cloak progression looks a bit different. We would get to rank 10 very quickly and then it would slow down rapidly after that. We would get to rank 10 2 weeks earlier than we do right now without the time gating set up. We'd hit that mark around the 3rd week without any time gating, assuming you complete 3 vessels per week and get everything you need for the legendary upgrades. With the time walking, we have to wait until the 5th week to get that rank 10, so they have slowed us down quite a bit by adding this time gating in, but only if you spend all of your vessels each week. As I said earlier, spending any vessels past your current legendary cloak cap will never yield any bonus to your cloak progress. So what happens if you just don't run those extra visions? If you get 3 vessels per week and only run enough to upgrade your cloak to the current maximum? Let me throw this up on screen so it's easier to look at. This first week you would want to spend all 5 vessels to do 5 horrific visions to get the 5 upgrades to take your cloak to rank 6. That's easy, but next week we can only go up to rank 7, and it only takes 1 horrific vision to get there. You need 2 pages, and you can get 2 pages by doing both Corrupted Zone bonus objectives, so 1 upgrade with 1 vessel. We can actually just bank those other 2 vessels and use them at a later date, but it's not just next week, it's also the week after, and the week after, and this method of banking vessels might seem silly, but it will actually put you ahead of everyone else at the end. Let's compare banking vessels versus just doing all 3 horrific visions every week. Because of the cloak cap, there isn't a significant difference at all up until you reach rank 13. That's because the max runs you ever need up until that point is 3, so you can always do that in 1 week. Providing, of course, that you full clear every vision and you get 3 vessels per week. Full clearing them is also a pretty important part, but look at how many vessels you can have banked. While getting to rank 13 in the same week, an extra 7.5 vessels. You could get 8 here, but you can't actually hold 8. The maximum you can hold is 5 full vessels in your inventory, and then 25,000 coalescing visions. It's still probably going to be worth holding off on those 5,000 though, because holding vessels is going to be so much more beneficial than just spending them willy-nilly. That allows you to get rank 14 the next week, even though you need 6 full horrific vision runs to get rank 14. If you spend your vessels each week, you won't be able to get 6 runs done until the following week. So that's where you start to get ahead with the banking method, but then you also go into the rank 15 grind with 5 extra vessels, which is almost 2 weeks worth of progression. We don't know how many runs it's going to take to get to 15, but again, it's going to be more than 6, so having those 5 saved up is going to be incredibly important. That means if you bank your vessels all the way up to rank 15, you could get a rank 15 cloak 2 full weeks earlier than players who didn't save their vessels at all. That means the most efficient way to play this system is to not play it for the majority of the time. That is really, really stupid, in my opinion. It's not just getting ahead though, those saved vessels will help you in other ways. As I said, to reach this level of progression every week you have to full clear your horrific visions. That's the only way to get enough pages to clear the requirements in 2 or 3 runs. If you end up failing one of the runs in a week where you need 3 full runs to get your upgrade, having a saved vessel will allow you to still get your cloak upgrade in that week. If you're spending 3 vessels every single week and you don't save any, and you need 3 full runs to get your upgrade, but one of them fails for whatever reason, suddenly you're back to being 1 run behind. You won't be able to get your cloak upgrade that week. And what I said about always being behind if you get behind, you won't see it until you hit rank 10 or above, but you will still be behind. You will be even further behind if everyone starts banking their vessels because it's now the fastest way to get rank 15 on your cloak. There will always be 1 vessel less in your saved pile. Now, playing like this is obviously a choice, but when you have to make a decision between progressing through your legendary cloak in the best and most efficient way possible and playing and enjoying the game, that's a terrible position to put any player in. You should be able to progress by playing the content, not by saving the content for a later date. The worst part about all of this is that the time gating only delays our rank 14 cloak by 1 week. Without the time gating, we would have been able to get rank 14 on week 8. If you bank all of your spare vessels, you can reach rank 14 on week 9. So we're not even being slowed down that much in the grand scheme of things. This entire problem was introduced to keep our cloak levels lower in the earlier stages of the patch and to create some semblance of not getting left behind if you failed to get one of your upgrades. But the only way to ensure you wouldn't be left behind if you failed anything is to make the vessels and coalescing visions reset every week, and that's not something they would ever do. So you aren't left behind initially, but anyone who has managed to get every cloak upgrade so far will still end up finishing first. Anyone who starts saving their extra vessels next week will end up being 2 weeks ahead of everyone else as well. Personally, I'm incredibly torn. I'd love to have the rank 15 cloak as soon as possible because that's when we can start adding on extra corruption resistance from killing the last raid boss, but not playing 2 horrific visions out of the 3 you have access to per week is a tough ask. I want to play horrific visions. I'm having a blast with them right now. I wish we could play more than 3 a week. We were just able to clear the 2 lost area objectives plus a corrupted area objective and the main objective on top of that. We just need 1 more area for a full clear. The progression is fun for us. Being able to full clear is going to be awesome, but the most efficient upgrade path is to only play 1 vision next week. I hate that the choice is even there, and I hope they do something about it. I'm not really sure what they could do without some significant changes at this point, but as this information spreads further and further, I think we're going to see a lot of people just saving up their vessels until that magic rank 14 week. What do you think about the time gating for the legendary cloak? Do you think I'm blowing everything out of proportion? Please say yes, or has this made you start thinking that saving your vessels might be the best course of action? Leave all your thoughts in the comments section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you want to join these lovely guys and gals, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave. If you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.